Hello and welcome to the final episode of No Prize Podcast for 2021. I am the professor. That's Lucas. What's going on? We made it through another year, man. Another pandemic-filled year.
Don't say that, man. Freaking knock on wood, man. We still got about a couple weeks left. You know what I mean? This is the let's call this the Christmas special, right? Because this is really when it's going to be released, right around for Christmas. Man, so much stuff kind of happening, right? Stuff happening and stuff not happening, and we're going to get into this, man. But let's be real about what's happening in before we get into like the real nutmeg other stuff is that look because it's Christmas time, a lot of stuff happened, like no books on FOC regarding Marvel, right? A lot of trade paperbacks, right? But no like books, right? Yeah. Second thing is when it comes to releases, like new releases, there aren't going to be a lot of books for the new releases. There's going to be some, but not a lot. Nothing, definitely nothing important. So people need to be aware of that, and that's goes for TC as well when it comes to it. And that's fine, right? Because right now people are going to be more concentrated on being with family and everything. So look, movies, TV series, that's what's really going to be hitting it home and having some staying power with people right now. So
Yeah,
interesting stuff, man.
there's good stuff going on. We have we're knee deep in Hawkeye. We have we actually have just one episode left, so we'll talk about episodes 4
Yes, sir.
and 5. That was kind of a quick drop, right? Because we had the first 2 episodes drop the first week, so this is like a quick shot in the arm. And then we're rolling right into after episode 6 next week, Christmas time. We're getting Book of Boba Fett.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
Can't wait for that one.
I'm so excited to see Book of Boba Fett, but I really wish Hawkeye was another episode or two. Don't you think there's a lot of stuff they need to wrap up in that last episode?
Of course, man. But here's what I've always said should happen, right? I should be able to, once I'm done with the series, should be able to go straight from the movie theater to your local comic book shop and continue with that thought or whatever and figure out what's going on. Maybe even find some like details that make some clarity. But unfortunately, Marvel really hasn't been doing that. Um, but hopefully they'll pick up on that and they'll be, oh, okay, maybe there's some chances to make some money because there is a Hawkeye series, there is an Echo series that's out.
Yep.
Um,
Of course, the Echo that's in that series you wouldn't recognize from the show.
true, and let's take some time to talk about that
Yeah.
talk about that for a sec. Right now, Echo is Phoenix Echo Song. That's her first series, I believe, right?
Yep.
The So Echo, who is the Echo who you knew from the TV series, is not the same one. This is like her after she had a big tournament with the Avengers, and she fought for for the Phoenix, right? To be embodied with the Phoenix. Now that she's embodied with the Phoenix, she's trying to figure out how to control it or how to maintain it. And instead, she and this other Native American dude that's from the same tribe, they're like going back in her past to try and fix stuff and figure out what's going on. Uh, Now, what's strange about that is that now her dad is not her dad, and her mom is not her mom. It's weird. I don't know what they're trying to do with that, but um, so now that that's happening, now that her dad is not her dad and her mom is not her mom, they're going even further back through her ancestors to figure out what's going on. So I can't wait for the next one because they need to fix that right away. That don't make no damn sense.
And the bad guy they pulled out of their butt for that is the Adversary, and he's an old X-Men villain from the '80s. Chris Claremont created him, but it was back when Forge first appeared, and this was one of the Adversary was the villain that they had to stop with Storm and and it's a weird. He's the only time that villain's ever appeared, and it's just a weird villain to bring out. And I do think it's just because they wanted to show the Native American connection, but what are you going to do? I think that that the Phoenix, what is it? It's Phoenix Song, Echo Phoenix Song. That the book is just it's weird. I don't like it that it seems like everybody on Earth has had the Phoenix Force at one time. It's kind of like the Captain Universe. But then it's like, if the Phoenix is such a overwhelming cosmic force, does it just go to Earth all the time?
Yeah.
Why doesn't it go to like the Skrull homeworld or the Hala or the Shi'ar? Because those are the ones that are like super scared of it. Why there aren't any super powerful people that the Phoenix deserves to be attached to? And that's going back a billion years too. I mean, that's with like the billion-year Avengers that we were bitching about 2 weeks ago.
So that's where we'll stop talking about this, because I don't want to spoil anything from the upcoming Spider-Man movie for you.
Oh no, I think you just spoiled it just by not saying
You'll
anything.
trust me, unless you're deep into the whole Phoenix mythology like I am, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So next time, after after the professor has caught up,
After I've
we're
seen
going to
Spider-Man. I haven't seen
as he sees
Spider-Man yet.
Spider-Man, right?
Going
Yeah,
tonight. Yeah.
right. And then we'll get to talk about all the nice paraphernalia and all that goody stuff out there. But yes, there is a connection to that and the rest of the MCU that they're going to do pretty soon.
Oh.
Well, so we were talking. So let's get back onto the Hawkeye stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Look, freaking. So in the last one, right? I'm talking about what, number 4, I believe. They
Episode
bring
4.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bring out the White Widow, Tasha's sister.
Oh yeah.
And this is where a combination of, hey, I forget what the name of the lady was. She tells her, like, "Hey, do you want to know who freaking killed your sister?" It was Hawkeye. So she goes after Hawkeye, and episode 4, number 5. We get a little bit more background on all the stuff that's happening, right? And spoiler alert, it should probably not spoiler alert, but look, now we finally get to see more of Kingpin stuff starting to creep in, because
Oh
we
yeah.
actually we don't see him, but we do see at least a photo of him. So now we know for sure that is coming.
We kind of speculated on that last episode, but here we have some confirmation with the picture at the end of episode 5 that Kingpin was the one that hired Yelena, or was it? It was Kate Bishop's mom that hired Yelena to kill Hawkeye. For what, we don't really know yet, because now, like, we all thought that Val, who kind of recruited White Widow at the end of the Black Widow, in the Stinger teaser, now it doesn't seem like, or maybe they're all working together. You have Val working for that shadow cabinet in the government. Maybe Eleanor Bishop is part of that. Maybe Kingpin is part of that, which we don't know. So it's all interesting stuff. I loved Yelena in this in episode 5 and episode 4 more than I liked her in the Black Widow movie.
Yes,
I thought she was the wit, which it was kind of funny, because you have Kate, who has that wittiness about her. And then you have Yelena, who pretty much one ups her, right? So it's kind of like they're both trading barbs back and forth. And Clint just seems to be caught up in the whirlwind, right? He's just kind of he's reactionary. He's not trying to make anything happen. He's just getting tossed around by whatever is coming at him next, which was, by the Matt Fraction series from 10 years ago. That's exactly how Hawkeye was in that series, just kind of there and kind of trying to survive it.
exactly.
So this has been probably my favorite interpretation of a comic book series. I think that there's so much to unpack, and this so much to resolve in this next episode, because it's like,
Yes.
there's a bunch of different characters. They haven't really revealed Jacques as the swordsman. Um,
Mm.
they which I don't know if at this point if they will, because he'd get arrested in the last episode. So I don't know if that was him writing his character off, but there's so much more under the hood with that guy that there's really more to explore. So if they do come back for a season 2, maybe that's when we actually get more of him. But they have Echo, where they have to set up the Echo has to have kind of like a come to Jesus moment, right? Where she realizes that she's working for the
Yes.
bad guy. Otherwise, she doesn't deserve a series, which she's obviously getting. We know that. And then where does Yelena end up? And does Val recruit Kate at
Yes.
the end of this?
Mm.
I mean, that's kind of, I think, where the way this is going, where they get all these substitute heroes, and now they're going to put together, the second string Avengers or whatever they're going to do, the Thunderbolts. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's it's
Yeah, a lot of
interesting.
good stuff.
There's a lot to set up, and they only have what 45 minutes left to do it. I
Yeah.
I I don't get it. I really wanted this series to. It seems like it's gone so quick that I want it to at least like an episode 7, just to I think wrap up everything that they've kind of unveiled.
True.
Plus, that they don't end a series without setting up the next thing, right? So,
Yes.
um, so what's the setup? And I know that this is like everything else that we've seen from Disney Plus so far, that everything is setting up either Secret Invasion or something with a group, right? So either the next
Yes.
Avengers group or what have you. Um, so, hey, we'll see. I'm along for the ride, man. I don't think Marvel Disney Plus has done anything really wrong, right? I mean, they keep your interest. They set you up. They suck you into the next thing so that you keep watching.
Yes.
And I haven't been able to stop watching yet. So,
It's
you
been
know,
good. Yeah, it's definitely been good stuff. Like you said, and once again, like the most important part has been, okay, when you're done, does it set something else up? The only miss on that front has been Shang-Chi. It didn't really set stuff up for
right.
anything else. There were so many opportunities, but they decided not to, which was weird. Um, but yeah, I'm all aboard for Hawkeye. I'm all aboard for more Echo. I'm can't wait to see how they utilize Kingpin going forward.
Hmm.
Kate, Kate, excuse me, was it Eleanor Bishop? That's her mom, right?
Yes, Eleanor. Yeah.
She's got her own weird story,
Yeah.
um, by herself. Um, and then I'm talking about her mixing it up with Blade. So that could be interesting if they decided to follow that at some time. And you're talking about, hey, Jack Duquesne, as a sword master guy. Look, freaking, he's got his own like his huge background and back history.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of, I'm thinking through like, man, each one of these characters that they've decided to highlight could have their own show in their own right and make it very interesting.
Yeah.
Each
And
and every
that's
single one.
the big thing that I think is the revelation at the end of the episode of Kingpin, and what that means for Netflix, the Netflix shows that we had a few years ago, because now that not spoiling Spider-Man at all, but we know someone else shows up there, and that to me just means that they're opening the doors to bring Jessica Jones back, or Luke Cage, or Iron Fist, or the Punisher. Man, if we want to see John Bernthal back as Punisher, that's I think he's the one more deserving of a movie than anybody else. But that's the I think that's the door we're opening here, is just to suck in all the Netflix viewers who maybe didn't buy into the MCU. I don't know who you are, but I don't know why you're not here. Um, but to actually acknowledge that the Daredevil show, which I thought was fantastic, and do we get a Daredevil season 4 on Disney Plus? That's the big question, I think. You know,
Ooh.
that's what, because I think that's what they're kind of leaning towards on the Disney Plus side. Daredevil was the one show I think nobody wanted to see canceled, you know, because
Right.
everybody wanted a season 4, or, you know, Jessica. I thought Jessica Jones was really good too, so I would have loved to see a season 3 of Jessica Jones. But you know, I think that door's wide open now, and you know, I don't think anything. You know, the Netflix show is a little bit more adult. They might have to tone it down a little bit for Disney, but you know, I think we just saw. Uh, I think we just saw the new Beatles documentary had language throughout. So I think
Yeah.
they might be leaning more towards you
Yeah.
know,
I
some more
think.
adult content.
Yeah, I think Disney has been very hardworking at erasing that perfect family image over the last few years. You know, every single movie that they've had has had cuss words in there.
or,
So
or a warning like before you watch Dumbo.
yeah, it's like, yo, I don't know what they're going for, but you know, they're definitely trying to erase that home image. And in the meantime, um, you know, Bob Chapek has been kind of dropping hits and Easter eggs that at some point Disney is going to get into the casino business. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, so not just casinos, but sports betting, right? So you might start seeing sports betting on all their platforms in a little bit.
You see
So
Mickey Mouse with like a wad full of cash, or oh no, you know who would be best for Disney Plus for casinos?
what's that?
Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge? Yeah,
Uncle Scrooge,
yeah.
he's perfect.
He, Uncle Scrooge up there running numbers and shit. That's
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
with
I'm
the
telling
big
you.
pile of gold behind him.
Mhm. I think there was actually a homage to that where there was an Uncle Scrooge. Yeah, there was Uncle Scrooge McDuck, right?
Yeah,
And I believe Mickey was the his nephew in that particular one. I would have to
yeah.
find that one.
There's a Christmas Carol done by
Yeah,
Disney.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Man, great
there we go.
stuff, man.
It's
Um,
perfect. And Disney, I expect my check in the mail for that idea. So
um,
perfect. So what? So do we want to talk a little bit about Book of Boba Fett coming up? Because all I know is the trailer that we saw. I don't really know anything about the story or anything. I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. Look, it- I hope they don't bring out any new characters, right? Because I don't know when the Book of Boba Fett is coming out exactly, but the mess that they made with Grogu or whatever his name is, the little baby Yoda, right?
Right.
Whereas they had a absolutely great show, right? A phenomenal show, right? And then right around the corner after it ended was Christmas. And there was no toys or anything, right? And not until like a full year afterwards, when the show people had already really forgotten the show. That's when you freaking had it, man. So I hope they don't do that. Look, if you're going to have a show, don't wait years after. You got to do it within the first 30 days, man. Forget just put it out there so people can shut the TV off, run to the freaking store real quick, and just have it there to watch, man.
Yep.
Um, because I know a lot of people that say, I just like having, what I do when I'm watching this movie, I get my little action figure and I'm freaking playing it out as I'm watching it. And these are grown ass people, man.
Yep.
So I think that's cool, man. But Marvel and Disney, they got to realize that that's what's going on. Um, capitalize on that. You know, I mean that's what I know a lot of people do that with Star Wars. They're little Star Wars figures, man. They're like, hey, I buy one for the collection, and then one to just play around with it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the thing of Boba Fett, man, what I've been really enjoying is a lot of the Star Wars stuff, the Star Wars comic books going forward. Um,
Yes.
The Han Solo movie was kind of terrible. let's put it that way.
I
Trevor,
loved the Han Solo movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
it didn't hit a lot of the wickets that people wanted to hit, and it had okay. Remember when he said that? Well, here's that thing. Remember when he said that? Here's
Yeah,
that thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
people. Yeah,
A lot of fan service, not a lot of substance, so to speak.
right.
But
Um, so so what they've been doing in the comics is they've actually been developing a lot more of his character, and then that period of time when he was in the Carbonite, right?
yeah,
So they're like, hey, what they're letting us everybody know is that hey, uh, even though he was a Carbonite, he was like the center of the universe at some point, right? Like everybody was like fighting over his slab. There was full on criminal empires that fell and rose because of freaking Han Solo, which is kind of crazy.
yeah.
Um, and then the book that came out this week, or was it? No, it was last week. Was Crimson Reign, right? Which was kind of featured inside of the Han Solo movie, and they're talking about how they actually came to power for a little bit, and um, so I think it was in Star Wars Bounty Hunters where uh, the Huts had done hired some assassins and did all types of crazy stuff to do an attack. As a result, like a lot of their forces, to include half the Jabba the Hutt freaking council, was killed off. Right, so now
Yeah.
they're kind of hurting. So a lot of another now a bunch of the other criminal syndicates see this out as an opportunity to rise up and become closer to the empire and become like their hand and a whole bunch of stuff. So where Crimson Reign comes in is it throws the Crimson Dawn folks kind of playing each criminal syndicate against each other. Oh, you want to attack that guy, but you don't want them to know who it was. We'll hire us, and we'll do that. And they told them to do. They let them know, and now that's what they're doing. They're like, hey, we'll. The other criminal syndicates don't know that they're doing that, but they're just there in the middle, freaking hitting this guy. And in fact, they actually provoked the whole criminal syndicate war. It's genius, right? Because I know that in the real world that actually happens with some of the mobs and mafias and all that other stuff. There are provocateurs out there, and there are people that get hired, to do certain kinetic strikes like that. So I think that was genius. Now, um, the only issue is that there are some new characters like the Archivist, and and I got to do some research on what's going on with the Knights of Ren.
Hmm.
Not that I don't know about the Knights of Ren, but there's a little person that's part of the Knights of Ren right now that I have never seen before, and I'm obsessed. I got to figure out who that is. Is it really a little person, or is it like a kid inside this costume? I don't know what the heck is going on, but it intrigues me. Um,
Maybe it's Wicket,
a Wicket? What's a Wicket?
the Ewok.
Ah, Ewok. Okay, Ewok as a little Knights of Ren. That would be interesting.
Well, I think that's Star Wars and the Star Wars universe employs lots of little people to work for them, like the Jawas and all that stuff. So it's I actually liked that little shout out. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, for me, it was just to see them open it up a little bit like that, and let us look under the hood of a they did a great job in Star Wars Bounty Hunters and opening up the hood on like who the big crime syndicates are, and let us know that Hut was not like the big baddie out there because there was more. Um, Now we're getting to figure out like who was running around and doing all this stuff for them, and how come the Empire didn't just freaking knock knock them out? It's because Crimson Dawn at some points, and according to Star Wars Bounty Hunters, was doing stuff for the Empire as well. So it's kind of interesting and it's kind of mental of what they're trying to do here, man.
well,
What did you think?
so I like the fact because I mean it seems obvious at this point that we're not getting another like a Han Solo sequel. And I know that at the end of Han Solo, when they realized that Kira was the head of Crimson Dawn with Darth Maul, and that was the one thing that I was like, man, I wish that we'd seen more of that, or maybe they could spin this off into a Crimson Dawn movie. That would be cool. like little expanded universe stuff. But seeing it in the comics now, like and it's been a few years, right? So I like the idea that they did actually go through the backstory and tell you, they showed Darth Maul, and they did say he got killed, and they killed him off in the Clone Wars, right? As far as the cartoon on the
Yes.
on Disney Plus. So
Yep.
so they're tying all of this in together, and and you're realizing what's canon at Disney and what's not, as far as how far Lucasfilm goes. And the other part I liked about Crimson Reign is the fact that they really kind of made Dark Sun almost like a player in there. And I don't know if you know anything about Dark Sun from the expanded universe from like 25 years ago, where the Shadows of the Empire, where Prince Shizor was kind of like the main bad guy in the crime syndicates. And they brought him. They mentioned him. You didn't see him in the book, but they did mention him in the book. So that really kind of opened the door for that to become canon, because I thought they kind of retconned a lot of what happened in Shadow of the Empire, because a lot in Shadows of the Empire, and I don't know if you ever read it, was what happened between Empire and Jedi, much like what's going on now in the comics. So I think they're going to incorporate some of that. The only thing I think we haven't seen is Dash Rendar, and the Outrider, I think, was his ship. But that was a bunch of they made that up for the Star Wars toy line back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And after that had come out, we never saw a boo about any of that ever again. So I'm glad that they're kind of incorporating that. And obviously, I don't know if you were a big expanded universe Star Wars fan back in the day.
No.
but the that story was that was the huge thing. This was like, I think this was might have even been before the prequels. It was they came out with the Shadows of the Empire that was going to tell you the story of what happened, but before after Empire and before Jedi. And it was, they threw in a ton of all those, like, how did Princess Leia get the Bausch costume? How did Luke get his green lightsaber? How did they did all those explanations, because there was an obvious passage of time between those two movies and what happened in the middle. And that was like a great marketing tool at the time, and it spawned a toy line, a few waves of Shadows of the Empire figures. And this issue really kind of brought that back for me with Prince Shizor, because he was the big baddie that they introduced, and he was like the big syndicate bad guy, not a bounty hunter, but running the crime rings. So to me, hey, there's more power to it. There's a ton of stuff you can do with the expanded universe now. And Dark Sun looked like Patsy's in this issue, though. So
yeah.
Crimson Reign pretty much pants.
The other thing that I liked is they brought back, and they're bringing into focus, the holocrons, right?
Yeah.
For those that don't know, a holocron, the way it's been shown in some of the between Rebels and whatever you've seen out there.
Well, they actually showed it in the movie, didn't they? In the Rise of Skywalker,
yes,
I think they had a Jedi holocron.
Right. It is the thing that shows you how to get to X goal or whatever location. So there's two different types, right? There's a Sith holocron, and then there's a Jedi holocron. Jedi holocrons are like one shape, like maybe like a cube or whatever, whereas a Sith holocron is more like a pyramid usually. Well, the holocron in this one was a circle, which is really interesting to me, because that's the first appearance of this type of freaking holocron. Gatekeepers are usually are Jedi or Sith. Well, the Archivist is in this, so that means that the Archivist is either Jedi or Sith. I thought, but we don't know yet. We don't know who she is, right? Another thing about holocrons is, especially if it's a Sith joint, a Sith holocron, what it does is it scans you, right, to see like where your power set is, and then it gives you advice on how to do this, that, and the other thing. but it slowly freaking takes over you and starts to control you in this weird way. So that's something to keep an eye on as well, because now it's we already know the archivist inside, and then also at the end it also shows Kira inside
Hmm.
as well, scan as well. So it isn't necessarily show as the gatekeeper, but it shows that it has scanners. So the very big reveal is going to be: is this a Jedi holocron or is this a Sith holocron? 'Cause this could be a very very interesting thing. And also told us, and maybe and most likely it's um, and another thing that I didn't realize until researching about what's going on with holocrons is these things are made out of crystals, right? I don't know what type of crystals, but when I'm hearing about crystals instead of Jedi Empire, I'm thinking of the fact that the lightsabers are made out of crystals as well,
Right.
the kyber crystals. So I don't know. Um, are they the same crystals? Are they the same kyber crystals? Because that means they're literally living things inside these freaking holocrons. Man, and it looks like maybe that they might try and answer some of that stuff inside Crimson Reign, slowly but surely. But this is where it's going to be. Um, it blew up last week as speculators like top things, especially for the 1 to 50, as
Oh,
there's stuff
really?
about it. Yeah. But this one is one that people definitely freaking love. This is the Raza variant. And the interesting thing is, this is actually a connecting cover to the issue number 2 that's
Hmm.
coming out. So
That's a nice cover.
it is fucking absolutely fucking beautiful cover, man.
Yeah.
Um, so man, I just this is one of the better than Star Wars High Republic, I can tell you. Definitely more put together. I don't think I'm going to fall asleep like I did off of High Republic. So I guess it's going to, yeah, yeah, because we were like, oh man, this is going to be freaking great. They're going to show us what happened in the years before. They haven't showed us nothing in High Republic. That's important yet.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's one of the Star Wars books I haven't really jumped on board of. So like
yeah,
I
don't waste
couldn't
your
really
time.
talk to you about the characters.
Yeah, let's not waste your time. Don't waste your time. There's just nothing big happening other than the more of a modification of the Nihil, which is like the big bad thing that's out there that negated the rise of the Empire, right? Because yes, the Sith are bad, right? The Empire is bad, but there had to be some type of thing out there that was actually fighting against the Nihil and that was willing to do whatever was necessary, and that's where the Sith come in. So
Hmm.
that's where it's interesting of how they're slowly getting to that point of explaining all that. But if you know, you know. Like you can see it all over the place. Like the Jedi, they're fighting valiantly, but they're not doing enough. They're never going to be able to do enough. So somebody's got to be willing to make the hard choices of, hey, kill this person right away, destroy this planet right away, do this right away, and that's going to have to be the Sith to step up and do that.
All right. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we will be right back to talk about the one of the last books that we're going to talk about this year, and we'll wrap up with our favorite stories of the year. All right. I'll be right back. Let's watch Flipside Focus. What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. Are you wanting to read a new comic book that has nothing to do with the big two? Are you tired of looking through countless titles and have no idea where to begin? Well, don't you worry, because the Random Dude Josh and Johnny the Machine Hughes has the podcast for you. Flipside Focus, only on the Undercover Capes Podcast Network.
All right. So make sure to check out Flipside Focus on Undercover Keeps Podcast Network, as well as this podcast and a bunch of others that you would really love. Kind of eclectic tastes too. Whatever you like, I'm sure you could find a podcast about it. So let's get into The Hulk, #2, by Donny
Yes.
Cates and Ryan Otley. All right, so I might be a little jaded about this. Jaded, haha, get it? Because of the stellar series that just ended by Al Ewing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is such a weird ass direction to take this book and this character, and I'm sure eventually it will make sense. I just don't know if they're going to keep my attention until they actually explain it. But the in a nutshell, Banner has turned the Hulk into a giant spaceship and is now traveling through the dimension, trying to do what exactly? I don't know. But you can see in this cover, Banner is actually sitting in the command center of the spaceship that's actually the Hulk. The Hulk actually is on board the spaceship, and he is the engine room. And the ship runs on rage. So whenever they need more power, they just Banner throws villains at the Hulk and makes him fight and makes him get angry to give the ship more power. This is probably the stupidest concept that I've ever read about the Hulk. And I mean, I eventually think that it might end up making sense. But I mean, 2 issues in, I'm at a loss at just how. Now, first of all, it was a quick read. I read this book in like 3 minutes,
Right.
and not and it just wasn't impressive. I like the Ryan Otley art is really really good. It's the Ryan Otley is the artist on Invincible, if I remember correctly, and he did Amazing Spider-Man last year for a little bit of a run. So now, I mean, you're instantly back in this book looking more superhero than it has in a few years because of Bennett's work on Hulk, which was definitely more of a horror type slant. This is definitely back in the superhero genre. I just Donny Cates, man. I Donny Cates is the one responsible for Null, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
that explains everything that I need to know. So I don't I wanted to talk about this book just because it's such a fantastic departure from the last effort of Hulk, which was and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But I mean I can see the idea of wanting to take the book in a different direction, but to totally like ignore everything that's come before. And this
Yeah.
is, I mean, you really did not need any primer for this at all. You didn't need to know anything that happened in the previous book. And to the point, like, I don't even know if they acknowledged that run even happened. So that's a detriment to this book right off the bat. But it's, this book, I don't know where they're going. I don't know where the starting point was. I don't know what what Banner's like mission statement is on this book at all. And I don't know how the Hulk managed to let himself be captured and put into, an engine room that supposedly to this Hulk spaceship. But I mean, the Hulk looks human. So I don't know if we're going to get just kind of that swerve out of left field that this is just a kind of all a dream, which I think is the only way that you can really explain this. But I'm at a
It's
loss. I'm at a
weird.
loss.
It's weird. Yeah, it's too freaking weird. No, you got so and this is not a freaking spoiler because everybody's already been talking about what the hell is going on with it. So there's a second David Banner at the end of this freaking thing, and people were like, "Well, what really? That's where you're going with this?" And this David Banner has apparently this weird containment room where he's been capturing Hulks. What he's been doing with them after he captures them, I don't know. Is he freaking killing them, torturing them? I don't know. I don't know what the heck is going on. Um, so that's basically what this is. David Banner the original 616. We don't even know no, this is the 616 banner, right?
It's like it's like VR Hulk. So this cover screams to me VR, like
Yeah.
virtual reality. Um, it
What
has to
was
be. That has to be the explanation.
Yeah, I mean, and what is the connection in between the last Hulk run and this Hulk run? Are they just cutting it off? Like, I don't understand where they're going and why they had to do that. Freaking connect me to at least tell me to fuck off with it. Like,
Yeah,
um, I really don't understand, right? Because the Al Ewing run was really great. People freaking loved it. Now you're going with this mess by Donny Cates, and they're supposed to be buddies. So I don't understand what's the disconnect. Why the sudden like pull up?
yeah. Well, I mean,
Weird.
if we're talking about Donny Cates' work, I mean, what after Null got defeated in Venom, they didn't explain, like they didn't ignore it. The next when they come out with the next Venom series, you have a start point where you have to start at the end of that story, and you can jettison what you don't like about certain runs and make it your own, but to totally ignore what's come before, and who knows if that's the way they're going. I mean, we are only 2 issues in, but to have such a radical departure from where we were to where we are now, um, I would have liked some sort of explanation as to how we got here. This is one of the things that I don't like about Marvel, where everything just seems like a what if story, and
Yeah.
like it doesn't count in the continuity. But this last story, the last story that you read for the investment of your time for the last 50 issues of the Hulk has been in this one creator's story, and we're going to just ignore the entire run. We're going to ignore everything. It's not. I mean, I really kind of think that the Hulk really worked based as kind of like a horror book, or a hybrid
Yes.
horror superhero book. Um,
Right.
but to have it kind of like this is just weird science fiction-y stuff that
Nobody
I
asked
would have.
for. Nobody asked
Yeah,
for this shit.
and that's where I kind of think that the ideas kind of fall a little bit to the wayside. But I never really liked the Hulk as a character. I always kind of thought he was like a one-trick pony. Um, but every once in a while, you do get a creator that comes along that knows how to do it or can tell an interesting story with him. Um, this isn't one of them. So
Hmm.
I mean, I would say nice effort, but I'm already ready for another reboot. We're 2 issues in, so
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
I
yeah. Don't get it twisted. The art is fantastic. It's
oh yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's
I
just
think Ryan Otley's a great artist. He does great superhero stuff. Um, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him do anything other than superhero, but I would like. Um, I don't know if he would be able to do horror as much as I mean, as well as he does violence. He does violence very, very well. Um, but that's not really why I read Hulk. I liked the Hulk because of the horror type slant, and you could read it and just be like, oh, that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I kind of feel bad that I actually like that story and I like that book, and I just want to see Banner do as terribly as possible, and the Hulk is just this tragic character that you feel for, and that's and at the end of the day, that needs to be like you need to feel for the Hulk. You need to sympathize with him. In this story, there's no sympathy. I
yeah.
don't feel bad for the Hulk at all. I don't feel bad for Banner. I feel, I think I think they're trying to make Banner as a villain, right? They're trying to
Right.
portray him as the villain in this story, where I don't think Banner is he's not reflective of that. He's a victim. He's a victim, really,
Yeah.
and that's how they need
Hmm.
to portray him. So that's what I have to say about this run of the Hulk so far. Who knows? Maybe next month when we talk about it, maybe my opinion changes. But um, these last 2 issues of the Hulk, I'm just not impressed with, and like I can't believe we waited for this, or Al Ewing wrapped up his story, and this is what you give us now. You're supposed to build on success, not ignore it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, man, such a disappointment, man. I was all hyped up for a Donny Cates Hulk run, and it let me down. Let me down, man.
Well, he didn't
Yeah.
let me down. I knew what we were going to get because, I mean, he was the one that gave us Cosmic Ghost Rider, and that was just a pile of crap. So,
Yeah. Oh no. Maybe 22. Maybe 2022 will be better for Hulk.
so let's wrap up with, 2021 had some good stories. I know I spend a lot of time complaining about what they don't do, but what did they do that was great? I have two. I couldn't pick one good book this year. I had to pick both of them because I do think that there was probably only two. So I had to give them. I had to shout out both of them, and one of them we were just talking about the Hulk run with Al Ewing. I think Al Ewing has really come into his own this year as the premier Marvel writer. I think anything that he does turns to gold in my eyes, and the reason being is because uh, he acknowledges what has come before and finds a way to build it into his story and his continuity. We're seeing it right
For
now in
sure.
his Defenders work, where he's building back his. And it will be. I've called it the Ewing verse since for the last couple of years. But everything, every idea that he comes up with, every story that he comes up with, fits in his mythos of everything. All the stories that he's been telling over the last, I want to say, even 10 years. So for me, the Hulk run ending was, I mean, the Hulk run ending was a tragedy, but we knew it was going to end.
Yeah.
But that's the best cohesive story this year. And the quick runner up, or a very, very close runner up, would be Zdarsky's Daredevil. And I have
Yep.
not had, there is not a dog in that run this year. Every month we were getting a great story. Even, it's been continually serialized throughout. There's not a missing chapter. You don't feel like you missed out. He is really wrung everything out. This whole Daredevil in jail, the revelation of Elektra as the new Daredevil. Not that they really did much with her as Daredevil, but I actually liked that. you
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
like
Me
that
too.
they didn't really feel like they needed to explain it or give her much drama to have to, like, why am I Daredevil? Why am I picking up the mantle? No, she just did it, and everybody accepted it. Everybody was cool with it. you know, I'm cool with her running around in a Daredevil costume. I like it. You
Yeah.
know,
It's good stuff.
yeah, those two books, man. So shout out to Chip Zdarsky. Shout out to Al Ewing. They did their best work this year. I'm looking forward to, and we know now that the Daredevil run is coming to an end. And I think Devil's Reign, that just launched last week or 2 weeks ago, is the end of that, the end of his run. But who knows? Who knows what's on the horizon for 2022? I know they're revamping X-Men again. So who knows? I'm gonna miss Zdarsky's run. I'm gonna miss Ewing's run. Hulk, Daredevil, two characters that I did not grow up reading, but now they're the top of my pull pile every week. So
Nice. Good picks. Good
what?
picks.
What were your books of the year? I snaked them. I snaked your picks. Huh?
You state my picks. No, Al Ewing did a great job. Everything that Donny Cates was doing right was highlighted by Al Ewing. Right? So you could go over to a Donny Cates book and then go over to Al Ewing and go, see, this is why that's important. So now that you've taken that away, let's go with the sword stuff, right? The
I did. I liked Sword. That's a good honorable mention. I love that.
yeah, good stuff.
But that's by Al
And
Ewing too.
yes, sir. That's guy Alan Ewing too. Um, the X-Men saga that happened this year was interesting, right? So there are some absolutely stinker books, right? Um, where each has where I'm glad to see what they were trying to do, right? So you got a
Yeah.
nation and you've got all types of stuff going. So you got an R&D side, you've got a side that's military. You've got a side that's just taking care of people and the kids. You got a criminal investigation side. I love that they tried to develop that stuff. Um, the more interesting thing is, once that whole tournament, the Cup of Swords, I forget what the name of the
The
tournament was.
X of Swords.
X of
Yeah.
Swords, yeah. Once that happened, and now Apocalypse is gone. Now the Silent Council is starting to crumble, right? Without Apocalypse there to keep certain people in check, right? Because with him sitting there, hey, the end game is Apocalypse, right?
Right.
Now that he's gone, people are kind of forgetting that whole thing, and they're just going on about their own ends. Um, what that meant and how it's developing and the crumbling of the Silent Council is absolutely fantastic. Um, Once again, you got to keep that away from all the other stuff that's happening out there, because they're on their own little stories. But how they support this whole thing, and how the nation Krakoa, is absolutely fantastic. And even how they go into like the political, what happens when they intervene politically, right? Who are they pissing off? How do those people react to them taking over Mars, right?
Yeah.
Just little stuff like that. How did Doctor Doom take it when they just took over freaking Mars? You know, just stuff like that. Hey, there's a whole bunch of companies out there that were, racking up and getting ready to go over and just investigate what's going on Mars. Well, now that the mutants have taken it over, well, guess what? All your contracts are gone. How do they react to that, man? So just hey, here's what happens. And here's the reaction. That was a great point to see that Marvel actually followed through. Because once again, I love when actions have consequences. That's me all day. You know.
Yep.
Um,
I think that's the best thing that the X-Men books did this year was colonize Mars. It just opened up a whole bunch of new stories, and they've always had one foot in the cosmic side of the universe anyway, and being able to maybe tell more stories. That's where I kind of think that the direction that they should be going, and the fact that even here on the real Earth, we're trying to explore Mars, and we're all talking about eventually colonizing Mars, and the mutants are like, hey, we did it.
yeah.
Beat you. So I thought that
Yeah.
was kind of I thought that was a really great direction that they go in, and I think it was a natural direction too that I didn't see coming. So huge shout out to Sword and the X-Men for an otherwise lackluster year. That was the best event that they did.
Yes, absolutely, man. And hopefully we get more. I don't know how much longer they can keep it up, because now we're coming full circle to some of the stuff that was happening at Power X, where you're going back to the orc stuff with the
Yeah.
Nimrod stuff. They're going back into that, and once again, more Tagger is coming back. So, what I would love to see this, right? Like, hey, Moral Tagger freaking enters her, and she does this thing, and then that messes everything up, and then the rest of the year is trying to fix it and do it, and then at the end of the year, oh, here's Moral Taggart again, and then I would love to see
Mhm.
that. That would be a great thing to see for like the next 7 or 8 years, that they could just do that, because right now it's working for me.
Yeah.
Um, but good stuff by Jonathan Hickman and the crew. Surprisingly, surprisingly. Now the question is are they going to be able to get this into the MCU ever? Are they going to be able to do this?
That's and I think we talked about this maybe a couple of podcasts ago, where when they do eventually introduce mutants into the Marvel universe, do they go with Hickman's X-verse? That's happening because that there's so many big ideas in that I don't even know if it fits in the MCU. If you have a mutant society that lives on an island, that they've fixed death, they've they have these plants that cure every illness,
Mm.
which you can have for a price. There's just so many ideas in that series. I don't know if it fits overall into the entire MCU. It would be cool to see if they do something like that, because it does open up how many more movies can they have for like in the next 10 years about how the mutants want to, do they want to take over the world, or they want to colonize Mars? They want to do that. I'd love to see that in a movie. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do I think that the MCU or Disney Plus is that ambitious? Maybe on the diversity standpoint, maybe that's the exact message that Disney Plus wants to send, right? But
Sure.
hey, I don't know. And then does the MCU begin to start looking a little too bloated at that point? Right, with all the
Right.
characters. That's one of the things that I also think, that if they introduce mutants, and then do we get like 5 or 6 or 7 different mutant shows, just like the Marvel universe, right? The Marvel, we have 12 different X-Men books, and I think you only need 3. The rest of them stink. But there are a few good ones. But do you get like an Excalibur show? Do you get like a X-Force? Do you get, I don't know. I know that there would be a fan base clamoring for it, but but how much story is there to tell before you start getting overwhelmed with it? So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I still think we need a Fantastic Four show on Disney Plus before we need anything else. I know we're getting a movie, but I think Fantastic Four is totally built for a Star Trek like TV show. That they can just expand the Marvel universe.
Right. I think we're fine on that one. Like, so, like, I don't want to start with the 4 again. I'm done with the 4. Bring in the 6. So bring along. So make it so that you're like, hey, we're back, and now we're back with the 2 kids, right? And
you could bring Franklin and Valeria,
and bring along the little 2 aliens that they got now. That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Because the whole 4, it's been done very badly. So let's move it forward a little bit.
I guess while we're talking end of the year, let's shout out Dan Slott on Fantastic Four. I think Fantastic Four has been fantastic this year, with a lot of those stories coming out of Empire, with Ben Grimm now having 2 adopted children, one Kree, one Skrull. That's, I think, pretty cool. They do it, and Dan's doing a lot of stuff with each character. The Human Torch is now stuck, flamed on. Which I think is a great kind of like a great gimmick, right? To kind of get him to kind of realize how Ben Grimm has felt for the last 60 years. So now, the story that they're telling over there, really great. I think the Forever Gate was a great idea. Sometimes I kind of think that those, the Fantastic Four has kind of come up with all the great ideas that the Marvel Universe ever had through Lee and Kirby. And every once in a while, you get a creator on there. Like I said earlier, you get a creator there that can really shine on a book. And I think Dan Slott's shining on Fantastic Four right now. And they have a big event book coming up in just a couple of months, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's Fantastic Four is the hub of that one. So.
Yeah, can't wait, man.
Any other honorable mentions you want to go through for the year? Or any upcoming covers or anything that people are going to be on the lookout for?
Let's see. Let's pop this bad boy open real quick. And this is just for this week. Moon Knight.
What an awesome cover.
Yep, Moon Knight Raza. That's coming out this coming Wednesday. This one is a 1-to-1 qualifier, so whatever the cover price is, that's what it is. Miss Marvel Beyond the Limit #1. This one is a 1-to-50, so you got to be on the lookout for that one. Apparently, in the solicit, it says something about a second Kamala Khan running about. Don't know whether there's a new one or it's Storm Ranger back from space. So we got to keep an eye out for that one. Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, #2. This one is by Stephanie Hans.
This one should have a big shot in the arm for the show, right?
Yes. Absolutely. So far from people I've shown it, they've absolutely loved this cover. And then finally, Wolverine number 19. This one is I think this I forget what I forget what ratio this one is, but it is ratio by EW Gist. Um, this is that monster that's been like underneath the sea near Krakoa and
Yeah,
everything.
it's a
Um,
bunch of kaiju's running around in Wolverine right now.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, that's it, man. As far as FOC, not anything. Not there's not anything going on in FOC, man. So that's where we're at right now, man.
Well,
So
they're winding down for the year, so you'll see that start cranking back up in January 1, right? So,
absolutely. So I got to prepare for the hurt on that one.
all right. So, speaking about cranking down, we are going to crank down the canopy here on No Prize Podcast for 2021. And the next time you'll see us, it'll be happy 2022. And hopefully, we're not hiding from the Omicron virus. And, we'll be talking comics. So until then, so maybe next time we'll give our spoiler-filled rundown of Spider-Man. And until then, enjoy. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and all that happy horseshit.
Stay
And
safe.
all right, enjoy, and we'll see you soon.